Welcome. Improving Power BI Q&A. Okay, I've got a couple of questions before we start, just so I know, just because I am purely curious. Who actually here has played D&D? Thank you. I'm not the only one. I have my D&D group were very upset that I wasn't going to be there on Wednesday night, and I went, I'm going to a conference. And they went, you're always going to conferences. We're not impressed. And I went, I'm going to a conference where the theme is D&D. And they went, and work's letting you go? So I've been playing D&D for 30 years. I started when I was 3, honest. Right. So this is me, Laura GB, or Laura Graham Brown, if you're going to look for me. On LinkedIn, but I have a blog, Hatful of Data. Yeah, I nicked the name from Hatful of Sky, Terry Pratchett. I hope he doesn't get me, but he's not around, sadly. I have a YouTube channel, Hatful of Data, and I'm a Power BI consultant. I think my title is manager. I'm not sure, at Avanade. I've only been there 3 months, so I'm still working it out. And I don't do pictures of me, so I have a picture of me dying. Not actually playing D&D, I was playing Old Hobgoblin, which is a mad game, but I was dying yet again. I'm very good at it. So, who's played on ChatGPT? It's cool, isn't it? How many weekends have you lost? Or how many days in the office have you not done? And what timesheet code do I put that down to? I don't know. Q&A is not ChatGPT. It is not anywhere near there. Okay? But there's actually quite a good reason it's not there. In order for Q&A to work, in order for Q&A to do things, it's got to have access to all your data. Are you really going to load all your data into ChatGPT? A word of caution here, please don't sign up with your work account, because your work probably is going to get upset if you do it for ChatGPT. Just putting it out there, okay, guys? So it's not ChatGPT. So I thought, well, let's go and find out actually what Microsoft say Power BI Q&A is, okay? And so I go to a site, and I just nick the quote straight. See, I thought these guys were just going, what? Oh, it wasn't me. Lets you explore your data in your own words by using natural language. I want to know what unnatural language is, by the way. Maybe that's programming languages, I don't know. But anyway, that's Microsoft. That's nicked straight off the Microsoft site, okay? Next question. Sorry, you have to participate, okay? There's no choice here. If you want real participation, I warn you, if you come to my session tomorrow, there's real participation, and it's not my fault. It's Ash's fault, it's their fault, not mine. Q&A. Who actually has let their users use it on the reports? As I expected, nobody puts their hand up. Nobody uses it. Because they all go, no, not doing that. But actually, it's quite interesting by turning it on, what it does do. And I have turned it on a client site. We had a long conversation with a client, and we turned it on a couple of their reports, if only to find out what everybody wanted to ask. That's why we turned it on, okay? And that's part of my demo today, is to show you how you could turn it on, and how you possibly have already turned it on and not realized, okay? So, that's enough. So I don't do slides. If you're expecting a good slide deck after this, there isn't one, sorry. The demo. I play Rangers lots. That's why we've got Ranger. Right, let's do a demo. Okay. So here is one of my favorite data sets that I use. The Met Office very kindly gives out the data from their weather stations across the country, and they capture things like the minimum temperature per month, the maximum temperature per month, rainfall, sunshine, and all those things. It's a nice data set because it's got lots of variety in it, and everybody understands it. So that's why I use it, okay? So we've got in here, we've got a couple of nice things. We've got various bits of information. How many here have tried teaching Power BI to complete newbies? Yeah? And you get them here, and they go, well, I don't understand what. It's not going to do it for me now, is it? Why have I got all these boxes? And how do I get rid of the boxes? That, I'm assuming, is what most of you have come across Q&A as these blooming boxes that all these people that keep double-clicking on the page, will they just please stop? Sadly, it's what happens. But let me just remove those for a second, and let me just take one of these. Okay? So, ask a question about your data. Microsoft said I could ask questions about my data in my own words. That's not true. Microsoft are very careful in their demos. Anybody, just the other question you meant to ask, isn't it, before you do these sessions? Anybody from Microsoft in the room? Hey, sorry, I'm gonna be rude about you. Sorry. If you are going to sell a product, all of the people downstairs selling wonderful products, if you're going to sell a product, you have a demo that works. So it's not just Microsoft. It's a good salesperson. They have a demo that works. So I'm gonna do a demo that works, okay? So, list top 5 stations. No, station is what I did put there. By rain. Average rainfall, let's go for that. Average rainfall is one of my measures. So there we are. It's given me five things. It's the top ones, okay? And actually, as a way of learning a bit of Power BI for your if they've got a nice model, I know my model, so that I've got an advantage. It's a nice way, because then I can click this little button up here, turn this Q&A into a visual, and there we are. I've got a standard visual. If you look in the filter panel, I've got things in there that show you the filters that have been applied. It's all there. Okay? So as a quick little way to write a visual, it works. Okay? As long as a few things. Okay? And these are best practices for models. I'm not saying do something that you shouldn't be doing anyway. Over here, on my side here, okay, I've called things sensible names. In my weather, that's interesting. In my weather data, I've called things, okay, my measures are all in the wrong place. Apologies, I rebuilt this at some 3 o'clock last night. I didn't move all my measures into the right places, but I should have done, okay? But I've called them sensible things. There isn't anything, I've broken something. The sound man's moving. I've called things sensible names rather than dim underscore 326 underscore rain or 326 R. And by the way, R stands for rain. Your users are never going to work that out. Okay? So that's first one. My first thing on improving Q&A. Please write a decent model that has some decent names. But if you use tabular editors best practice, they would agree with me on that one. Okay? They always have the thing of don't put spaces in names and all those kind of things. So do that. So my Tmax and my Tmin should not be the way people are finding things. I should have measures in there that say max temp and min temp and those things. Or even temperature. Okay? So that's one. Thank you. 20-minute sessions are really short. The other is start to understand some of the things out there that your users could, if you have turned on Q&A, and I'm about to switch over and have a look at, well, we will have a look there on, Questions appear over there, and it flashed at me. That's fine. Understand what's in your Q&A thing here, okay? So we're going to come back to this one in a second, but understand some of the things in here. One of the ones I've put in there, the first one I want to get you guys to go and have a look at, is suggest questions. Work out some good questions, so that when you do that double click, and I get that Q&A, I realise it's small text, so I'll read it out. Average rain, east versus west, year by year. So if I click on that question, I get a little graph, okay? That does just show that, guess what? The west, i.e. Wales, is wetter than east, i.e. not Wales, okay? Just saying. But you give them some suggested questions, which gives them some ideas of other questions they could ask. Gives them some formats of questions you can ask. So to understand East versus West will give you both those series as separate series. So understand some of the terminology, and you can educate your users by giving them some questions. Okay? Also, be brave. Put a Q&A button up there and tell your users what it's for. Be brave. But, okay, I sat in a session where Q&A was first launched. I sat in a session, sat next to my other half. It's the only event I've ever got him to come to, apart from one other. So 2 events, and he sat and he watched Q&A. I went, okay, fine. My other half is a security consultant. Grumpy as heck. Okay, yeah, okay, that's really clever. Security alerts all over in his head. I can see the look on his face. It's kind of, I don't like that. Somebody can ask a question and expose some data that I didn't expect to expose. Be aware. You include a column in your data that you don't put a graph up there. They can now ask a question on it. Okay? So let's quickly just switch across to over here. Oh, that's not the right page. Published it wrong there, didn't I? Chris, press a button, they get a question, and let's just put into there, max temp, and it'll give me a number. My complaint here is there isn't an easy way to do anything with this, but hey. But what I can do is I can put is this useful? Sadly, not lined up, but hey, this isn't a UI session. But that's one way of them doing it. Another way of them doing it, if you have users who can have edit access in, I think it's contribute and plus, they could pin a visual onto a dashboard. Yeah? I know. Anybody here actually use dashboards? No. See, I knew this. Another feature that we don't use, but we haven't quite worked out for. But if your users use it, because somebody will, if you let them. Oh look, there's Q&A in the top left-hand corner, whether you wanted it or not. And if you aren't controlling that dashboard and you don't know it exists, they now have Q&A. By the way, you can turn it off on a dashboard. Haven't got time to show you where it is now. I promise I'll do a blog post. Harass me on blog posts for this, okay, guys? Laura GB, really feel free to harass me. This is a series I've kind of got in draft, but haven't finished yet. So I can put a question up here, and I can do list stations by rainfall, average rainfall in north. So I only get the ones in the north, okay? Once I've done that, and I go, oh yeah, I like that, that's cool, I'll go with that. I can then, if I can see it, up in the top right-hand corner, I can pin that visual. And it says, where do you want to pin it? And oh look, it fills up that dashboard. So they can come up, but that's a nice way to get some answers, back from your users as to what is there, okay? So your users, so you expose this to your users, you explain to them how to do it, especially maybe to some of your senior management term, and say, what questions aren't I answering in that report? Put some questions in. Okay? And this is where I think Q&A is awesome as a way of doing it. Perhaps I wouldn't turn this on for long. Perhaps I'd turn this just as a kind of getting feedback from your reports. If I go back into here and I go to my Q&A setup, I can review questions. Oh, don't do this to me. If this is going to be horrible too. Oh, no, there we go. I can see in here, I've got some questions. Okay, it's not quite up to date because it's not picked up the ones we've just done. But I can see some questions in there that somebody asked. And you can see there's a question there that said, wettest location in 2019, right? And you can see wettest is underlined in a red line. Location is underlined with dots. It's going, dots, I think I know what they mean. I think they mean station, but I'm not sure. Okay? So that's where you need to put synonyms in for your ones that could be known by something else. So these are weather stations, but they could be known as locations. They could be known as weather stations. They could be known as blah, 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 as you can imagine, all the combinations it could be. Fill those in, okay? Go and put in the synonyms for those. But this is the one I want to show you, and I want to make sure that I've got time to show you, is dealing with this one here. When they put it in, they asked for a fix. That's what the little pencil on the right-hand side says. There's a button there that says that when they put it in, they get the red line. They click on the red line, and it puts up a message, please ask somebody to fix this. Okay? And when I come in here, is it going to let me fix that? You click the button, Laura. I knew you did something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on wettest. Actually, no, I'm going to sort out location first. And it goes, location, I'm not sure about location. What is it referred to? So I'm just going to put into here, it refers to a station. Okay? And now it's suddenly gone, oh, you mean you're talking about stations? So it's gone and fixed the one above and goes, well, stations that are wettest, what does that mean? So I'm going to put into there, high, average, rainfall. And then somewhere in Scotland has that, because that definitely looks Scottish to me. And but that's fixed that now. If I now go and have a look at my managed terms, you can see that it's got in there the definition of terms. Okay? So there's two things, there's terms and there's synonyms. Get them right. If your reports are going to be used in lots of places, lots of terminology, lots of jargon. But it's a way of getting people to ask some questions about your data that you didn't know were going to be asked. So I totally agree, Q&A is not ChatGPT. It is not amazing and wonderful and the sparkliest thing in Power BI. But I think it has a role in getting people to ask questions and get some data back and to ask questions that you didn't think were going to be asked. Okay? So my thing to you is have a look at them. They're my 3 points. My other one is be brave. Oh, by the way, that's a beholder. And if you meet one in D&D, run. So it's my favourite graphic they've given out. And it's quite, yeah, but I've been killed by beholders too many times. So, I haven't been told off yet. Please nab me. I am at the end of my time. Please nab me after. I am Laura GB. Here is my link for feedback. I am active on Twitter. I am active on LinkedIn and on my blog and YouTube. And if I don't answer your question, just harass me. I have ADHD. I will forget. Okay, so please don't feel you're being rude or anything. Just please, just go, oi, Laura, you said you'd answer this. Answer the question. I will. Okay? Any questions? Thank you.